All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maureen Scallon-Failer, President of the Dakota County Regional Chamber of Commerce. The Dakota County Regional Chamber of Commerce is the influential regional voice that champions promotion and improvement of the business environment, cultivating vibrant regional and local communities. The Chamber unites businesses by influencing public policy, providing networking and professional development opportunities, and encourages economic development. As citizens of this great community, the city of Farmington, we have the right to cast our vote for individuals that represent our interests. The leaders you elect make the decisions that affect you, your job, health care, taxes, economic security, our future workforce, and more. Today's Candidates Forum is one opportunity to educate and engage the voters from the city of Farmington. And we are honored to have our mayoral candidates here with us today that are running for the mayor for the city of Farmington. And I would like to introduce the candidates. We have Katie Burnjelm, we have Joshua Hoyt, and we do have via remote virtual Terry Donnelly. And I would like to note for our viewers today, the reason why Terry Donnelly is participating virtually is due to a potential exposure of COVID, and the city has strict protocols, and to be transparent and to follow protocol, Terry is going to be with us virtually. So Terry, thank you very much. So for today's format, I really like to have this more as a conversation amongst the four of us. But I will have you each provide a 2-minute opening statement. We will then go into a question and answer period. And then we will do closing remarks that will be approximately 2 minutes, depending how we're doing on time with the questions. As far as I am going to be lenient with the time for the most part. If you do go over your allotted time, I'm gonna give you a little bit of leeway. But if you extend that for too long, you will get the red sign to stop. So we will also be rotating our questions throughout the Q&A period, and then we'll get the show started. So we will start with Katie with opening remarks. Katie.
Thank you, Maureen and the Dakota County Regional Chamber for hosting today's forum. My husband and I, along with our 2 daughters, are proud to call Farmington home. I'm originally from Apple Valley and graduated from the University of Minnesota with a bachelor's degree in communications. My husband is an Army combat veteran and currently works at Mall of America overseeing their security operations. This is my 8th season, currently working for the Minnesota Vikings as the Director of Partnership Activation and Special Projects. Prior to joining the Vikings, I was a field publicist for Allied Integrated Marketing and worked in business development and special events for Mall of America. I've been actively involved in the business community through my time serving on the board for the Eden Prairie Chamber of Commerce and on the steering committee for the Minneapolis Regional Chamber of Commerce Leadership Twin Cities program. Prior to moving to Farmington, I also spent 6 years serving on the board for the Eastview Community Foundation as the scholarship chair. In April of 2017, I was appointed to finish out the term of a vacant city council seat and successfully ran in 2018 for another 4-year term. I'm currently one of 2 council members that serve on the Economic Development Authority and represent the council with liquor store operations. I'm a pragmatic leader who sets realistic goals and doesn't make false promises. My top priorities, if elected as mayor, will be 1, to create programs and infrastructure that will drive traffic to our local businesses and promote future growth. 2, to invest in the future of Farmington by making educated financial decisions. And 3, continue to improve the core services that we provide our residents. However, my priorities as mayor need to be aligned with the other 4 council members. We won't always agree along the way, but we can be unified and aligned in providing concise and transparent communication to residents as decisions are made. I want to ensure Farmington is positioned to be one of Minnesota's most desirable cities to open, grow, and maintain a business. This community is blessed with wonderful people who deserve to see Farmington as a great place to live, work, and play.
Thank you, Katie. We will now go to Terry.
Okay. All right, so I'm on?
You are on, sir.
Okay, so, hello. It's a beautiful sunny fall day in Farmington. My name is Terry Donnelly. I'm a lifelong resident of Farmington. I've been married for 45 years, and my wife and I have been blessed with 6 children and 6 grandchildren. My education includes receiving a BA in quantitative methods from the University of St. Thomas. Upon graduation, I went to work as a software engineer at General Dynamics, where I remained for 34 years. Currently, I do software consulting and work on the family farm on Flagstaff. My public service experience includes being a member of the Farmington City Council for 12 years. Prior to that, I was a member of the Farmington School Board for 7 years. I have seen many changes in Farmington over those years, and I have learned a great deal during that time. When I first ran for the City Council in 2008, people had the same questions and concerns they have today. The taxes are too high. The city needs to attract more businesses. Much progress has been made since then. Farmington is in a much better place today than it was in 2008. The city debt has been paid down. The city has been able to invest in its police and fire departments and infrastructures. The lots in the Vermilion River Crossings development have been sold. The city bond rating has been upgraded. New houses and businesses are being built in the city again. To ease the tax burden and attract new businesses and retain current businesses, Farmington needs to grow. This growth must come from the private sector, not the city. The city simply does not have the financial resources. One of my initiatives would be to fund an independent, objective study of Farmington's opportunities for future success. This study would provide factual data, not opinions, not biased ideas, on what the best growth strategy would entail for Farmington. No idea would be off limits, and there would be no sacred cows. This idea is much like Lakeville is doing with its Thrive campaign. All the while, the city needs to be financially responsible. Farmington's taxes are too high compared to our neighbors. I would like the opportunity to move this great city to the next level. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Terry. Josh, you are now up.
Thank you, Maureen, and thank you to the Dakota County Regional Chamber of Commerce and the City of Farmington, and also those that are at home watching via Facebook Live or YouTube. My name is Joshua Hoyt. My wife, Christy, is a family and consumer science teacher at Bachman Middle School here in town. My son, Kellen, and my daughter, Cammie, are both students within the Farmington School District. I'm a service-disabled veteran of the United States Marine Corps. My service ended in 2001, where I worked as a radar air traffic controller. I'm the owner of a local residential remodeling company as a licensed general contractor. I'm a member of the Dakota County Regional Chamber of Commerce, the National Small Business Association, the Farmington Business Association, the Farmington Mental Health Alliance, and the Dakota County Suicide Awareness Voices of Education Executive Committee. I was elected via write-in to the Farmington City Council in 2018, and I serve as our city's representative on the board of directors for the Dakota Communication Center, which is our 911 center in Rosemount, and also the Dakota Broadband Board. I volunteer at Caring Hearts in Action through our community food drives, Faith Church for the free Wednesday community meals, the Support Our Troops Haunted House, and the Farmington Due Days Lions Club stand. As mayor, I will continue my commitment to the residents of Farmington that as an elected official, I would raise the standard for what is expected of our leadership. I have provided transparency on being accessible for anyone, at any time, for any reason. I spend no less than 10 to 12 hours per week outside of City Hall, engaged with our residents, our business owners, our organizational leaders, our faith leaders, and persons of influence in our community. My work doesn't stop at our work sessions or our work meetings. I'm committed to being visible and immersed in all things that promote our great city. As mayor, I will continue to do the work. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh, and thank you all for your opening remarks. We will now move into the Q&A portion of our forum. So Terry, we are going to start with you for the Q&A questions. And the first question is, why are you running for mayor of the city of Farmington?
That's a good question. So I better not waste my minute here. Anyhow, so why I'm running for the mayor is because been on the council for 12 years, and we've made great progress. You know, I love this city. I've invested my entire life in this city. I want to move it to the next level. It can be better than it is now. And I just we want the opportunity to do that. And I have great ideas. I just need to, you know, the opportunity to have people hear them and have them execute. I have no idea what to do. So anyhow, I never wanted to be the mayor of Farmington, but there's an opportunity here to move this city forward, grow it, and make it a premier level city. And I want the opportunity to be a part of that and to see it blossom. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Josh?
That is a great question. Ultimately, the mayor of Farmington is both a policymaker and a servitude leader. As a policymaker, the mayor carries one vote that's equivalent with the singular vote of each individual council member. But as a servitude leader, the mayor has the duty and the responsibility to be active in community outreach, community vision, and community representation. I'm asking the residents of Farmington to consider voting for me as their mayor because I've spent the last 2 years doing that work. I'm engaged on a daily basis, again, with our faith leaders, our community leaders, our business owners, and most importantly, our residents.
Thank you, Josh. Katie?
For me, I see this as an opportunity where the right leader right now can make a great impact on our community. I've been extremely frustrated the last 2 years in the direction that we've been going in, and I believe that starts with becoming more aligned as a council. I think I bring the right set of skills in order to do that, being decisive, purposeful, adaptive, and driven in my decision making. And I think that starts with elevating our expectations of what our council is going forward. Coming prepared to meetings, reading your notes in advance, doing research in advance, coming with ideas and solutions to implement those ideas, and focusing on the things that we can control. I think it causes a lot of friction among the group when we have people going in too many different directions and we are not aligned on our priorities first. I think the culture that we set as a council and the mayor trickles down to the staff at City Hall, and that is an important standard that I think that we should set going forward.
Thank you, Katie. Terry? Oh, Josh, I'm sorry.
No,
Oh, yeah, okay.
you started with him.
Okay.
So it'd be next question. That's okay.
See, I've already.
You've done a lot of these.
Right out of the chute. All right, so the next question, and actually we will start, Josh, with you on this question. What are the top issues of the city and what strengths do you bring to address these?
The top issues as they pertain to the city of Farmington, first and foremost is the highest level of core services. Our core services are police and fire, public works, streets and maintenance, park and rec, HR, admin, IT. I believe that the singular strength that I bring is that servitude leadership, that bridging the gap between what city staff is aware of and the level of service that's provided versus the interpretation of how it's received from a resident's viewpoint. You don't always hear concerns, and you certainly don't always receive the praises when things are going well. We need a leader that's going to bridge that gap. As mayor, I believe I can do that. I've done that through my entire professional career. Second is to prioritize and help balance the tax base that has long plagued us, specifically over the last 10 years. New development and redevelopment, that's simple. There's a lot of great ideas on the table. There's a lot of great policies, which I'm sure we'll get into through the economic development conversations here. We have to stop talking about it and we need to do something about it. Economic development is not a buzzword to get someone elected. It is work that takes place on the streets and is very deliberate and intentional actions. And I believe I've done a darn good job the last 2 years in helping to bridge that gap.
Thank you. Katie?
Can you repeat the question again?
So the question is, what are the top issues of the city and what strengths do you bring to address these?
Sure. I think the top issues that we hear from residents over and over again are taxes, first and foremost, and how high that burden is on our homeowners in this community. The need for more business diversity throughout Farmington is number 2. And I think where we're at with core services and improving the quality of those for our residents is number 3. I think what I bring in terms of strength, what I said before too, is being decisive in the decisions that I make and solution oriented. I think it's easy to talk about these 3 things, but it's harder to put solutions in place and get people aligned on what the next steps are in them.
Thank you, Katie. Terry?
We have similar beliefs there. The tax burden on the residents is a big problem. It has been for years, and the city needs to grow to ease that burden. Okay, new businesses need to be attracted to the city, and lower taxes and more polished image of the city would help that. Okay, what I bring to this is a level head, depth of experience in public service, and knowing what works and doesn't work. I have been on councils that have not worked well together, and as Josh has said, the mayor only has 1 vote, but and you have to work as a group. You can't go it alone. So anyhow, I bring a common sense approach and a willingness to listen and learn from others, and entering the room not thinking that I have all the answers, and hear everyone out and then make a decision based on what I've heard and the advice of experts. So that's what I bring.
Thank you, Terry. On to the next question. What would you change about how the city of Farmington government works? And I believe we start with Terry.
No?
I think with me.
Okay, Katie.
That's okay. What I would change about how the city of government works here. I think the one thing I've struggled the most with is our communication with residents. I think the communication needs to come from one voice at City Hall here. It can't come from individual council members or the mayor solely. I think we need to be more transparent once decisions are made and how we're coming to those decisions so that residents understand the full process and what went into it. There's a lot of times that we may be more informed on the decisions that we're making because of the resources that are provided to us to make those decisions. And I think that when we aren't presenting all of that information, all of those facts for residents, it can be misconstrued a lot of times. So the most important thing that we could change here is communication, I believe.
Great, thank you, Katie. Now, Terry.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go now. Okay. So, that was a good point. I mean, I would like to see the council has to speak with one voice. Okay. We may not always agree, but the council has to make a decision and everyone has to respect that decision. I've seen over and over in the past where individuals will go on their own and you can't do that. You can have your own opinion, you can voice your opinion, but you don't want to send mixed messages to the residents. Okay. The council votes, not every individual. You can't promise things that you can't deliver because you have to work as a team. And I like more cooperation. Not saying that everything has to be. We can have discussions, we can have disagreements, and we'll continue to do that. But when the vote is cast, then it's over and you move on. And just a more focused central voice for the city, not all these mixed messages from different individuals. So I would like to see a more polished, professional image presented to the residents. That's what I would like.
Thank you, Terry. Josh.
What could I change about how the city government works? I think simply put, to try and find a way for the city to operate with less government, meaning if city staff does a phenomenal job, our core services are very, very good. We're not great. That's what we aspire to be, is great. That takes the right people in the right seat on the bus. It takes high-performing individuals. We're not in a community that has the luxury of being wrong very often. We need to make the right decisions because our margin of error is very slim. Our residents know that, and it's reflective through our taxes. So we've got to find a way to be a more efficient form of government. We have to find a way to be more expeditious in the areas where we can be more intentional and in-depth and detailed in areas where it's warranted. But overall, the process of government is very slow, and that's simply because it's expected to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. It's how we choose to make it work. We can run through certain things in a much more efficient way, which ultimately serves our residents. And that's why we're here, to provide core services and serve our residents. If we are a well-functioning body, not just as a council, but as the city employees as a whole, the value to our residents, it'll be unmatched by our local cities, by other adjacent cities.
Thank you, Josh. All right, the next question, and we're going to go in the order of, so I don't forget, is Terry, Josh, and Katie. So the next question, Terry, to start is, now we know that the city of Farmington and Dakota County has brought forth various grant opportunities for businesses to apply during the period of COVID-19. We all know businesses have suffered quite a bit economically during this time period. What else and how else should the city assist businesses that are struggling due to the COVID-19 pandemic? And Terry, you're up.
Okay, you mentioned that the city received 1.7 million in CARES funding from the federal government, and the council right away allocated 500,000 of that as grants to city businesses, local city businesses, Farmington businesses. That is being administered by the Dakota County CDA. Okay, that's one thing. Okay, I mean there are other avenues, but that's a big one. Okay, and I wish the city could do more. Okay, but the city has a limited financial budget. Okay, we can't. We can be receptive. We can be have ordinances that help the businesses try and ease things, but we have to abide by what the governor says and the restrictions that he places on our businesses. Although they're unfortunate and sometimes hurt some businesses more than others. I mean, he is the governor, and those are the rules, and we have to all abide by them, like it or not. Okay, so I mean, we have limited tools, and I mean, I wish we could do more, and I think the city's doing all it can right now with the resources it has. So that's all.
Thank you, Terry. Josh?
I'm going to answer this question from the position of a self-employed business owner, not as a elected official for the city of Farmington. I've fallen into the gap. I'm a home-based business who has a secondary facility. I'm not applicable to things like PPP, the EIDL loan, more specifically the $500,000 that was granted. Businesses like mine didn't have a plan B. We didn't have a way to just go, let's get a financial resource and put it in place. We had to use grit and figure it out. Businesses aren't just brick and mortar. Businesses are real estate agents, mortgage professionals, daycares, businesses that reside off of a main arterial road. Those businesses have been missed in this opportunity. You go on top of the nonprofits that have been missed. There's a large group of people and their entities that have fallen through the gaps within any level of whether it was CARES funding or the first two stimulus packages. At the end of the day, it doesn't cost anything to support a business. You have to get on the street, be active, promote, use reviews, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, find ways to help support a business without transacting a dollar. It's the greatest thing you can do to support a business. But we have to listen to our business owners and understand what they need. It's easy to sit in a room and say, we know what someone needs. Give them money. They don't need money. They need patrons. They need support. They need flexibility with their rents and their taxes. It's very It's very difficult, but that doesn't mean you don't stop swinging. So most importantly, we can just be active, get in front of our business owners, get in front of those that did not receive the financial help they needed, and ask them what they need, and then get to work.
Great. Thank you, Josh. Katie?
First and foremost, I want to say I'm proud of how our Farmington businesses have been able to adapt through this time, even though they are hanging on by a thread. And an example I look towards is our restaurants who have been able to get through these warmer months by creating outdoor spaces. But as we get to these colder weather here, they're going to be forced again to move inside. So I think what we need to do is turn the dial and need to work with our state leaders to continue to open up businesses across the state. The one-size-fits-all model doesn't work for communities like Farmington who have smaller downtown spaces and smaller storefronts. In terms of putting together a pandemic response plan, the EDA this fall in October is going to our Farmington businesses with a survey so that we can hear from them. We need to know what they need in order to continue to improve their businesses here in Farmington, and that's what's going to be able to educate our decisions going forward and how to support them. Grant forgiveness and the CARES Act, all of that is good, but it is not a long-term solution for our businesses in Farmington.
Thank you, Katie. Next, the order will be Josh, Katie, and Terry. And the question is, and this kind of falls along with what you just, how you answered the question, Katie, but again, it's important, and this was asked from one of the residents here in the city of Farmington. As you know, COVID-19 has hit the hospitality industry hard. Restaurants got a lifeline over the summer with patio seating opportunities. How can the city help these businesses survive during the colder winter months? And Josh?
Most importantly, we need to engage all of our business owners and ask them what they need. The biggest mistake we can make is in assumptions, because the needs of every one of our businesses is going to be different. Specifically with hospitality, certain businesses are confined to their lease agreements. They're confined to the flexibility and maybe the financial burdens that are on, or that come down from the landlords. There may be things that are outside of anyone's control. But at the end of the day, when they tell us what they need, whether it's more patrons, whether it's greater space to seat their patrons, maybe it's an extension of permits and or fees, it's temporary spacing, whatever we can do, there's a very creative approach that you start with that doesn't involve dollars. How do we utilize our resources that are available, put them in front of our business owners based on what they tell us they need to help make them successful? It's the best thing we can do is to listen to them.
Great. Thank you, Joshua. Katie?
For me, it's our hospitality industry in Farmington, mainly for us, that is our restaurant industry here, can't solely be supported on Farmington residents alone. We need to, as a city, find ways to drive more traffic to these restaurants from outside of the city, from our neighboring communities who might not know that some of these places even exist down here. That's working in partnership with folks like yourself at the Chamber to help us promote those businesses to other communities. It's working with our Farmington Business Association to get creative and come up with some programming that can drive traffic to them. There's best practices that we're seeing all over the Twin Cities, whether it's unique restaurant weeks that are happening or promoting different takeout programs that are going on. But again, this can't be solely supported on Farmington residents alone in order to make them survive. It's also changing, like I said before, that capacity that these businesses are allowed to have, and how do we safely turn that dial so that we can continue to improve that for them.
Thank you, Katie. Terry?
Okay, yeah. I mean, we have to, we have to listen, obviously have to listen to businesses and see what needs they have, what we can do to help. And we have to, promote our businesses outside this community, like both of you have said. I mean, we have some great restaurants in town. We have to get the word out, and it's a tough business anyhow. Restaurant business is a tough business, and those are the ones that have been hurt a great deal by these restrictions. And hopefully the restrictions will ease a little bit, and we can, as a city, do support them, listen to them, and whatever it takes to the little things that we can do as a city and as a resident. Support your local restaurant. Go to the I'm not going to mention any names, but go to the local businesses, support them. Tell them you're there for them, and we, you know, this is a unprecedented time that we went through. And there's no golden answer, no perfect answer. And we're all learning as we go. So I mean, all we can do is be supportive and just be there for them. So.
Thank you, Terry. All right, in order for the next question, Katie, Terry, and Josh. So the question is, what role should the city have in attracting new businesses to Farmington or helping existing businesses expand?
In terms of attracting new businesses, I think the largest concerns that big box retailers especially have in coming to Farmington are accessibility to housing and transportation and a workforce down here. So I think we can use our resources to focus on those main three areas. In terms of transportation, we've been left off of a lot of the larger transportation plans that happen in this county and even across the state. That's going to be important for those bigger retailers who want to come into town and need workforce to be able to get here. Affordable housing also plays into that. Infrastructure is one of the biggest things, whether a business decides to come to Farmington or not. So it's working with landowners for our site readiness program to make sure that they're ready to sell and that their land is structured appropriately. It's providing grants to some of the older buildings here in town that can improve some of their interior structures or exterior structures in order to be more presentable and attractive from a purchasing standpoint. But again, it's also working with all of our businesses to understand what they need in order to grow, the ones that are currently here. Tell us how the city can help support you in those ways.
Thank you, Katie. Terry?
Could you repeat that, please? The question?
Sure, absolutely. What role should the city have in attracting new businesses to Farmington or helping existing businesses expand?
Okay, the city can play a big role in this. I mean, we have to, I think, take a fresh look at the land and the growth opportunities that exist within the city. The city has great potential. I mean, we have to. We've been kind of pigeonholing things over the years and saying, you know, this area or that area or something. This is where we want them to go, and we have to take a fresh new look and look at what, you know, ask what the businesses, you know, where they would like to go, what they would like to, and then provide support for that. We have to, like I said, I would like to do a study where we just take a fresh look at the city, just wipe the slate clean. You know, what would make this city a premier city, and, you know, have some independent people do, you know, review the city and what it has to offer. It has a lot to offer, and just move. You know, we're too tied to our past plans, which were not terribly successful. So I would like to, you know, learn from that and move on. And, you know, we are, you know, Farmington is a bedroom community, and been tagged with that for a long time. It's very true, but with more rooftops, more businesses will be attracted to the city, and the businesses make their decisions, you know, using market models and all this, and just you know, it's dollars and cents. They want to be profitable. If they can't make money, they're not going to come. So we have to provide a friendly, you know, positive, receptive image to them, and help them, you know, tell them that Farmington is the right place for them to build. So.
Thank you, Terry. Josh?
The city needs to have a primary role as the go-between from our businesses, existing and prospective business owners, and then the landowners and or the property owners of either land or buildings that those two forms of business are looking at for development or redevelopment. At the end of the day, you need a buyer and a seller. It's that simple. The city's primary role is to put all parties together. Here, there's nothing worse than having to look in the mirror and say, I had a great plan. We laid it all out and it didn't work. That humility and being able to step back and say, I get it, we thought it was gonna work, it just didn't. sit and dwell on it, or start to be flexible and nimble and move towards something that will. We need to put together a subcommittee that involves our landowners, our property owners, our business owners, our school board, our city council, and our EDA. We need to sit down and we need to have a hard look at our capital improvement plan, our 10-year financial plan, and our 2040 comp plan. And we need to go into that conversation with the harsh reality that what we have on paper might not work. Throw every idea, just like Terry said, throw every idea on the table. It may be rezoning, it may be creation of new programs, there may be additional funding that's required. This is a monumental task. I think people would be surprised to know that the city of Farmington in 2019 had the same tax capacity as the city of Rosemont in 2010. Very similar populations. Now, granted, they have a huge commercial base, but we have failed to keep up to our neighbors, and ultimately our residents are paying the burden of that through their property taxes.
Thank you, Josh. The next order will be Terry, Josh, and Katie. And the question is, what are your thoughts, and some of you have kind of touched on this, but what are your thoughts on housing redevelopments in the older part of Farmington? So Terry, you're up on that.
Okay. I mean, that has to be in, Farmington has some beautiful older homes and some homes that need some help, some older homes that need some help. The downtown area, the cities, you know, it's just driving through those neighborhoods is just, they're beautiful homes there, okay? And, you know, the city needs to, to promote the good houses and to help the houses that need some fixing, you know, through, you know, grants and things like that to upgrade their housing and you know, remove little blight areas and things out of the city. And we need to be a little more as a city proactive and aggressive in some of our ordinance enforcement. Okay, there are areas that need to be upgraded immensely. So we have to, you know, we've been a little lax in that in the past, and we need to be more forceful in that area. I mean, the city, you know, the older homes are a great benefit to the city, and you know, they're provide just a wonderful, wonderful image of the city to the people that go through this town. So, and as far as any, you know, we have to be receptive to new developments as well. So,
Thank you, Josh.
When I moved to the community in '89, downtown was Farmington. Still is to this day. It's where the culture and the history of this community exist. Pilot Knob didn't exist. Flagstaff, as Terry knows, is a gravel road. We recognize Farmington, and the residents see Farmington as what exists downtown. There's a lot of ways to solve it. What we've got to figure out is how do we do it without putting more additional tax burden onto our residents. We can utilize our existing ordinances, potentially going through, and here, Katie and I have talked about this since 2018, rewriting our ordinances, looking at them, but more importantly, getting involved with our residents and finding out why it's a problem. Here, it may be as simple as someone wants to move down to 4th Street, they just don't like how it's being maintained, and I'm using 4th Street as an example, please don't take it out of context. You move down there and you say, but this neighbor lets their grass grow long. Go talk to them, find out why. They may have been laid off, their lawnmower might be broke, they may not have the ability to go and take care of it. Sometimes the easiest solution is staring you in the face, and we overcomplicate it by overthinking it. Talk to the residents, ask them what they need, ask them how they would want to reinvest in their property, utilize CDA programs. We have a ton of resources. Most times it comes down to awareness, a lack of information, and a lack of an effective plan to move forward. But I love seeing what's happened downtown. Some lots are getting turned over, some houses are being restored. There are some areas of blight that need to be cleaned up a little bit, but that's a combination of ordinances, code enforcement, program availability, and ultimately it's through relationships. Residents shouldn't feel like the city is an obstacle to them trying to maintain and better their home. We have, again, core services. We have a far way to go to make ourselves great in that realm.
Thank you, Josh. Katie?
I would agree with what both the other two have said in terms of code enforcement. I've been very strong on this since I've joined the council. We 100% need a more proactive code enforcement policy and continuing to reevaluate those and update them as we go. For a long time, we have been reactive as a city and not proactive in this area, and it's allowed a lot of different pieces of our community to start falling apart. I think code enforcement is where we are able to hold people to a higher standard of what we want to see in our community. As a city, though, we also have to meet that level of standard, and it starts with us and the things that we can control as a city. Our roads, our parks, our trails, all the infrastructure that we have control over that we've also let go over the last few years that is not being held to the same level of standard that we expect out of our homeowners is unacceptable, in my opinion.
Thank you, Katie. And the next order will now be Josh, Katie, and Terry. And we still have a fair amount of questions to get to, so I'm going to ask we start kind of shortening our responses. I've been a little, giving you all latitude, but we're going to have to start shortening your responses. So the next question is, what guides you in the choices that you make as an elected official?
As an elected official, as a resident of this community, as a business owner, I look at everybody like they're my mom or my sister. I try to treat them with the same level of respect, and I try to take a barefoot approach and understand their perspective as to how they see things. That motivates me, that drives me for that relentless pursuit of understanding. It provides greater level of communication. To me, there's nothing more fulfilling than walking through town and seeing right now my sign sitting next to the lefts, to the rights, to all different people. I love that because people, that's the greatest piece of feedback I've received in 2 years is somehow you manage to communicate with both sides. I'm not always right. I've made mistakes. I own them. I've stepped up, I've acknowledged it, and I've grown. But to be able to grab both sides and find that middle, it's a constant drive to want to be an ends to the mean for information, resource, help, whatever it is for anyone.
Katie?
Sure. I think what guides me, I think all of your perceptions and decisions are influenced by those that are around you. My husband, my father-in-law, who's a former police chief, my parents, our wonderful neighbors that are providing us input throughout my time on the council here. But I think what I go back to is some advice that I got. I worked with Pam Borton a few years ago, the Gopher women's basketball coach, and a piece of advice that she once gave me, she just said, do your damn job. And at the end of the day, we lose so much focus on what we are supposed to do when we're out chasing and doing other things that are not in our purview in this role. And so I always go back to that at the end of the day.
Thank you, Katie. Terry?
I hate to ask you again, there were kind of two different answers.
Sure. So the question is, what guides you in the choices that you make as an elected official?
Okay. Over the years, I have made many, many decisions as an elected official in this community. And what guides me is my experience, what I feel is the best answer, best action for the city that I've lived in my entire life. And I take advice from my peers on the council, city staff, family, friends, everything. It all enters into the decisions I make. As my peers have said, I don't have all the answers. There are people out there that know the subject matter far better than I do, and they deserve to be listened to. It's good to be, you have your own ideas and present those, and sometimes people like them, sometimes people don't. But I always make decisions that have the best interest of this city and its residents at the base of what I decide. So I've been here for many years, and I'm going to be here for many more years. And I'm going to live with the decisions I've made. So I want those to be good decisions. So I need everybody to give me help in that, and that I respect everybody's opinion.
Thank you, Terry. So next up, Katie, Terry, and Josh will be the order. So we had the situation back in May with the unfortunate death of George Floyd, which has really turned a lot of our world upside down as it pertains to public safety. The cities are responsible for providing public safety to its residents and its businesses. So do you believe there should be any changes in how the city funds public safety?
I think that since I've joined the council in 2017, we've invested a lot into our public safety here in Farmington, whether that's with personnel or various infrastructure. And I think that we will start to see a shift on that just naturally going forward as a result, because they have been disproportionately funded a little bit more than some of the other services that we've had. They play an important role in our community. A large portion of your taxes go to fund public safety. I think that we're fortunate in Farmington to have a community that's overwhelmingly supportive of our police and fire departments, and they have supported those investments that we have made. But we also need to continue to build that trust between our officers and residents and make sure that we're meeting the level of standards that they expect out of us.
Thank you, Katie. Terry?
Like Katie said, the public safety is a big expenditure of the city. 42% of the city's budget is for police and fire. And like she said, we've invested heavily over the past few years in the police and fire department, especially the fire department. And, you know, I'm a big supporter of public safety. Farmington is a safe community. Our police and firefighters are well respected by the community, as you can see by all the, you know, we support our police and firefighter signs, you know, throughout this community. And those police and firefighters deserve that respect, and they've earned it. You know, this community is extremely supportive of them, and that makes for a great city. Okay, a very safe city. That, you know, continually, you know, ranked as one of the safest cities in Farmington. And I want to see that continue. It's one of the core services that the city provides for its residents, and it's a very important service. And it should not be diminished in any way.
Thank you, Terry. Josh?
Changes in our funding to public safety. Here, we just approved a ladder truck. There's a lot of scrutiny around it. We as elected officials need to look at all of our decisions going forward to make sure it's in the best interest and the residents ultimately receive the benefit of the purchases that are made. That goes back to when we approve a development and we allow homes to be 12 feet apart. It starts there. When we've had a huge uptick in structure fires the last few years, there are certain needs that we're going to rely on the chiefs of our departments and our city administrator to tell us as council what the requirements are of the job. And then we make sure that they're as efficient and lean as possible. In regards to our police officers and our firefighters, we need to work with the county, specifically Shannon Bailey. We need to establish more relationships and realize that there are calls and needs of our firefighters and our police that are not being addressed in the current system. Mental health concerns. It's not a buzzword, it's real. It's happening. I know firsthand. We've got to find a way to allocate some of our county resources to make sure that we have properly trained professionals alongside of our firefighters and our police officers for those calls when they're needed.
Thank you, Terry. On to the next question, and the order will be Terry, Josh, and Katie. So Terry.
Yes.
How will you promote, President accounted for, how will you promote diversity, equity, and inclusion for the city of Farmington?
How would I promote?
Diversity, equity, and inclusion for the city of Farmington?
Okay. I mean, we have, as for the city itself, or, I mean, the city employees, or for the city, the image of the city?
For the city, for the image of the city, for the
Okay,
residents, for
okay.
the.
So I mean, Farmington is a diverse community. It's a very welcoming community to all residents. I don't think that there is, there's no exclusion that I, know, but, we have to, the city image has to be open and receptive and welcoming. And I think Farmington does have that. I'm not, I don't, there are no city policies or things that prevent, diversity or any kind of, that preclude any of that, from any of that openness. I guess that's a tough question, and I didn't answer it very well. But anyhow, Farmington is a very welcoming community to all. So, and I don't see that changing.
It's a difficult question, but it's a very important question.
Yeah.
Josh?
Absolutely. It is, especially today, a very important question. We as elected officials, we as residents of this great community can promote diversity and inclusion through engagement and being ambassadors to open up and say, Farmington is a great place to live, work, shop, whatever you want to do. Facts though, Farmington's 90% white. It's a geographical fact. It's just that's how the city came about, right? We're 90% white, but we've got a great number of faith and religious organizations that have representation amongst most of our ethnic backgrounds and most of our diversity that exists. I'll use Bethel's Rock Church, for example. I got together with a few other pastors, and we started a community conversation. Their membership is very diverse. They've got another branch or another location in Richfield. The chief of police was there. Senator Matt Little was there. You start engaging and asking questions like, why did you choose Farmington? What about Farmington, makes it inviting? And you engage in that dialogue. You find out. Again, you'll get the answers you're looking for, and then you continue to stay engaged. It progresses over time, but it takes intentional effort.
Thank you, Josh. Katie?
Yes, I think as elected leaders, we have a platform to be an ally and an advocate for creating diversity in our community. One of the things that I would like to see happen if elected mayor would be to establish a diversity and inclusion council here in Farmington that is made up of business owners, residents, other community members that can help create a dialogue, provide educational resources to the city to foster a more inclusive culture. If we want to see growth in the business sector of Farmington, we need to be more welcoming to new people coming to Farmington. I think everyone can do their part in terms of ending racism and building a community that's based on equality, empathy, and justice. I think also diversity starts with your elected officials and who you see on your council, your boards, and your commission. And if elected mayor, I would be the first elected female mayor of Farmington's history.
Thank you, Katie. All right, this is going to be our last and final question. Time flies when we're having fun here at the City of Farmington. And the order will be Josh, Katie, and Terry. So hopefully you all know the Dakota County Regional Chamber of Commerce has spent a lot of time investing and studying into the needs of transit for more and better transit within Dakota County. And what came out of that study was very apparent that the City of Farmington lacks public transportation. So with that being said, there is opportunity within that statement. So how would you address the issue of the lack of transit in Farmington? And would you be willing to bring the City of Farmington into the transit taxing district?
Absolutely. All roads into Farmington are either county or state. We need to look at our partners at the county and our partners at the state and our other elected officials and find out why Farmington has been an afterthought. Now, there is major infrastructure in place with 35, 52, but we've started to work into Lakeville and into Apple Valley. But Farmington's the end of the line when you look at public transportation. There are several agencies within DARTS and the senior community, the veteran community. There's a lot of private and county-based programs available, but they're not the conventional methods that you or I would think of to go and park my vehicle, jump on a bus, and get to downtown for work. It just doesn't exist yet. We need to harbor those relationships and find a way to make Farmington a priority. But we're going to need help beyond just those in the city.
Katie?
Yes, CTIP dollars, and that's the transit sales tax that's staying in Dakota County, is resulting in $17 to $20 million annually. When it comes to transportation, you need stable funding in order to support something like that. So this is not a project that the city of Farmington can take on alone. It needs to be driven by the county and the dollars that are being collected there.
Terry?
Yeah, that was a subject years back, being part of the transit district, and it was decided at that time that the city, the cost did not provide, the benefits. Okay, so that we weren't part of it. But as they said, Farmington is kind of on the end of the line. We have no 35, we have no Highway 52, we have Highway 3, and we have Highway 50, which are big transit corridors. But we don't have the resources the city doesn't to make broad new initiatives in this area. We have to work with the county, who's our the big dog that controls all the transit around us, and just keep working with them and have input on the transit decisions they do make, so that they benefit Farmington when possible. So.
Thank you, Terry. Well, that concludes our question and answer portion of the candidates forum, and time really flew by. So we will now go into closing comments, and we will start with Josh on your closing. Josh, Terry, Katie. And again, we're running out of time, so if you could hurry through,
Talk
not
fast.
hurry, but talk fast.
Thanks again, Maureen, and to the Dakota County Regional Chamber of Commerce for holding our forum today. I've spent my entire professional career learning how to be an effective servitude leader, a leader who puts the residents first, and above all, it is an honor and a privilege to serve the residents of the city of Farmington every day. Policymaking is a key duty for any elected official. As council member or mayor, policy work needs to be done. I've committed to my policymaking duties by attending every meeting, every work session, and every board appointment meeting. I am diligent in reading our agenda packets, asking questions, and seeking information to make decisions in the best interests of our residents. Community leaders also have an obligation to spend time on the streets and in the driveways of our residents, engaging them as often as possible. I committed to a higher level of engagement, and I have fulfilled that commitment since being elected. We are community stewards, we are community activists, and champions for our city's brand. Our actions provide the vision for our community, and it unites us and projects us forward. Leadership isn't found on billboards, in vague talking points, or even in being the first. Leadership is action. Leaders provide solutions that have action behind them, not a sit and wait mentality or there's nothing that can be done. There is always more that can be done. My engagement with business owners doesn't stop at ribbon cuttings, doesn't stop at the community expo. I'm intentional, and I engage our residents, our business owners, our prospective business owners, and those outside of our community. When I do, they tell me what they need to be successful. All roads don't start and stop at City Hall. They run throughout our community, and they are filled with amazing people who are begging for leaders that do as they say they are going to do. I often find myself making personal sacrifices and putting the duties of a council member before my duties as a father, a husband, and as a business owner. But that's a choice I've made, and that's a choice I stand committed to. Our city has so much potential for growth, both socially and developmentally. We will be thriving in a growing community and retain our small town charm. We realize this potential when leaders and residents work together and share a vision for our future. As mayor, I will continue to serve our residents in more than just policy making.
Thank you, Josh. Terry, you are up for your closing remarks.
All right. First, I would like to thank the Dakota County Regional Chamber for hosting this forum and my fellow candidates for participating. I would also like to thank the millions of viewers watching this broadcast out there in TV land. I'm running for mayor because I love this Farmington and I want to move it to the next level. Farmington is a great city to live in, raise a family. It is a safe city. It is a friendly city. It has untapped potential. I want to make it better. I have devoted most of my adult life to this city, and I want to do more if given the chance. My top priority as mayor will be keeping taxes down and expanding Farmington's residential base and business community. These things go hand in hand. Lower taxes and more rooftops attract businesses, and more businesses attract rooftops. I promise to provide professional, responsible, common sense leadership that is backed by many years of experience as an elected official in this community. A city that presents a professional, positive, business-like image is attractive to all. Everyone loves a winner. I am proud of Farmington, and I want everyone else to be proud of this city as well. I'm a low-key person. I do not talk unless I have something useful to say, but I will listen respectfully to anyone, anytime. We may not always agree, but I will always listen. I believe every person deserves to be treated with respect and dignity. I am a positive person, but I have seen many negative things during this mayoral campaign. I promise to remain positive. I honor and respect the flag, the national anthem, and all those who keep us safe. America is a great country, Farmington is a great city, and it can be better. Finally, I would like to share some words that I've shared many times before. And these words come from not from some Facebook post or internet blog site, but from a text that is many centuries old that everyone knows. And the words are, everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. Thank you, and don't forget to vote.
Terry, Katie.
Sure. I'm a pragmatic leader who sets realistic goals and doesn't make false promises to our residents. I have always done what I believe is right for this city, even if my decisions haven't always been popular short term, because I don't believe in pandering for your votes or making short-sighted decisions just to get reelected. I'm an outsider who didn't grow up in Farmington, and I'm not part of the good old boys club. I think that allows me to think more critically and unbiased in my decisions. I'm decisive, purposeful, and focused on solutions. I think all three of us want what we think is best for the city, and how we get there is what sets us apart. I will continue to work towards improving city communication with residents, making responsible financial decisions that are grounded on improving our core services and promoting economic growth, and forging new partnerships that extend our resources and support our initiatives. As a council, we inherit all the decisions that were made before us. I hope the decisions I make now make a positive impact, not just in the immediate future, but also down the road. Everyone wants instant gratification, but we also need to set ourselves up for future success, for whoever inherits our decisions next. There is no doubt as mayor, I will need to tackle several challenges facing our city, the largest, of course, being our financial burden on our homeowners. But where some see a challenge, I see great opportunity. I'm committed to what I set out to do in 2017 when I was appointed to the city council, to make Farmington a great place to live, work, and play.
Thank you, Katie, and thank you, Josh and Terry, for your participation. When the outcome is the outcome, Dakota County Regional Chamber of Commerce will look forward to working with you very closely, so thank you very much. I would like to acknowledge our sponsor for our candidate forum programs for this year, and that's Velocity Public Affairs. Velocity Public Affairs is a full-service public affairs company that combines experienced leadership with market-leading proprietary technology to help clients strategically address and manage public affairs, challenges, and opportunities. And on behalf of the Dakota County Regional Chamber of Commerce, my sincere thanks to each of the candidates for taking the time to share a bit more about themselves and their views important to the business community and the residents of the city of Farmington. I would like to thank the City of Farmington staff, David McKnight, and your crew for your help and your support for today's program. I also want to acknowledge Tim and his folks with the cable TV with the cities of Apple Valley, Farmington, and Rosemont. We couldn't have done it without the partnership of these two entities. And I would also like to thank our viewers I don't know if we had millions of viewers, but I think we had a fair amount of people dialing in, because this has been a very, very important conversation. This is an open seat. It is setting the future and direction for the city of Farmington. So I appreciate the dialogue and the conversation we have all had today. And I hope our viewers feel a little bit more educated on the issues, and that you become more engaged in the process, and you become more involved in how your city works and operates. The candidates can do a great job, but at the end of the day, the residents need to suit up and show up. So I challenge all the residents and the business community to come forth to work with the city of Farmington. And finally, please don't forget to vote on November 3rd. This is a very important election for a whole host of reasons. I know the city of Farmington is now open for early voting, so please come, either vote absentee, mail in your ballot, or come down to City Hall or to your polling place on November 3rd. Again, on behalf of Dakota County Regional Chamber of Commerce, thank you all for coming and spending some time with us today. Have a great day, and it's always sunny in Dakota County.